you lost too,
It's
mister?"
going to be okay, sweetheart.
Asked the little girl to the
Promise?
lonely CEO
I
at the
promise.
airport what he did next. Airports are full of rushing footsteps and unread goodbyes. But on one winter evening, inside Gate 42, a lonely CEO in a navy suit sat completely still. His life was falling apart, piece by piece. He thought nobody saw him until a little girl tugged at his sleeve and whispered, "Are you lost too, mister?" Charles Whitmore had always looked like the kind of man who never lost anything. Not deals, not control, not composure. At 54, he was the kind of CEO people whispered about when he walked into a room, sharp jaw, gray-streaked hair, a suit that cost more than most people's monthly salary, and eyes that once sparkled with ambition but now lived somewhere far away. But on this cold December night, the airport lights felt harsher than usual, washing out whatever warmth he had left. His flight to Seattle was delayed for the third time, though he didn't care. There was nothing waiting for him there except another sterile hotel room and a conference he didn't want to attend. His marriage had ended 6 months ago, quietly and painfully, like something that had already died long before it was buried. His son Nathan hadn't spoken to him since the divorce. His daughter Lily sent only polite one-sentence texts. "Okay, Dad, sure, I'll let you know." He used to be someone they ran to. Now he was someone they avoided. Charles leaned back in the stiff airport chair and closed his eyes. He could still hear the last thing his ex-wife said during the mediation meeting. "You don't know how to be present, Charles. You never have." He hated how right she was. His phone buzzed. It was his assistant reminding him of 3 pending meetings. He turned the phone face down on the seat beside him. For the first time in years, he didn't feel like being anyone's CEO. He felt tired, old, and strangely invisible in the whirl of strangers around him. Until a tiny pair of boots stopped right in front of him. At first, Charles didn't look up. He thought the footsteps belonged to another traveler rushing past. But then something tugged gently at the sleeve of his suit jacket. He opened his eyes. A little girl stood there, no older than 5. Her brown hair spilled out from beneath a pink knitted hat with floppy bunny ears stitched at the top. Her coat was puffy, purple, and unzipped at the top as if she'd dressed herself in a hurry. Her cheeks were flushed, and her eyes, big, hazel, shimmering, were holding back tears. "Are you lost too, mister?" she asked. Her voice was so small it barely rose above the muffled airport announcements. The question hit him harder than he expected. Lost, if only she knew. Charles cleared his throat, the sound rougher than usual. Well, I suppose I might be." She sniffled. "Me too. My mommy was right behind me, and then she was, and now I can't find her." Something cracked inside him, quiet but unmistakable. He saw instantly, painfully, his daughter Lily at that age. She used to wrap her tiny hands around his tie while he carried her. She made him pink paper crowns and insisted he wear them while reading bedtime stories. Back when he belonged somewhere. Back when someone needed him. He knelt down so the girl wouldn't have to look up. His knees complained, but he ignored them. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'll help you. What's your name?" "Maya," she whispered. "That's a beautiful name," he said. It felt like the first warm thing he'd said in months. Maya wiped her nose with the back of her mitten. "Are you really gonna help me find Mommy?" He nodded. "Yes, Maya, I promise." That promise he wished he'd made more often in his own life. Maya slipped her tiny hand into his without hesitation. The warmth of her small fingers startled him. It had been years since a child had held his hand like that. Years since he'd slowed his pace for anyone. She walked quickly, almost trotting to match his long strides. Every few steps she looked up to make sure he was still there. "Do grown-ups get lost?" she asked suddenly. Charles swallowed. "Sometimes. Do they get scared?" He paused. No one had asked him that in decades, not sincerely. "Yes," he admitted quietly, "more than you might think." She nodded, as if that made perfect sense. "My mommy says being scared means your heart is trying to tell you something important." He almost stopped walking. His heart had been trying to speak to him for years. He'd just never listened. They moved past a cafe, past exhausted families and distracted travelers. The terminal lights reflected in Maya's watery eyes. "Do you travel a lot?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Too much." "That sounds lonely." The blunt truth of the statement hit him squarely in the chest. "It can be." They reached a TSA officer who directed them toward the information desk. The airport felt suddenly enormous, every echoing announcement reminding him of how empty the world had become when no one was waiting for him anywhere. But Maya squeezed his fingers tighter, grounding him. She trusted him, and something inside him, something he thought he'd lost long ago, rose quietly to meet that trust. When they reached the desk, he lifted Maya onto the counter so she wouldn't get lost in the crowd again. "Let's find your mom," he told her. But Maya was looking at him as if she had already found something. Before Charles could speak to the woman behind the desk, a panicked voice echoed down the terminal. "Maya, Maya!" The young woman sprinted toward them, breathless, terrified, clutching her chest as if holding her heart in place. Her brown hair had fallen out of its ponytail. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, the kind of eyes that had been searching desperately. "Mommy!" Maya squealed. The mother reached them and scooped her daughter into her arms so fast that Maya's hat almost fell off. She kissed her head again and again, her hands trembling uncontrollably. "Oh, thank God, thank God! I told you to stay right there. I turned around and you were gone. I was so scared, baby, so scared." Charles stepped back instinctively, giving them space. But Maya pointed at him with a smile that felt far too bright for his dim life. "That's the mister who helped me. He's a little lost too, Mommy." The woman turned to look at him properly for the first time. Their eyes met. Something softened in her expression, recognition, not of his face, but of the exhaustion he carried like a weight. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. Her voice shook. "I'm Olivia Cooper." "Charles," he replied. "And no thanks needed. I'm just glad she's safe." Olivia adjusted Maya on her hip. "We're flying to Denver. My father, he's in the hospital. We're not sure how much time he has left." Her voice cracked, and she looked away, embarrassed to have said so much. "You don't have to explain," Charles said gently, but Olivia shook her head. "I already feel like I'm losing everything. I couldn't bear losing her too." Her words sank into him like stones, because he knew exactly what losing everything felt like. For a moment, the three of them just stood there. Olivia holding Maya tightly, Charles standing awkwardly, unsure of where to put his hands or the heaviness inside him. He should have left. He should have returned to his empty seat, his cold coffee, his blinking phone full of unread emails. That was the routine. That was the life he'd built. But Maya leaned toward him. "Don't go yet, Mr. Charles." Olivia smiled faintly, wiping her eyes. "We have about 40 minutes before boarding. If you'd like to sit with us for a bit, I'm still trying to catch my breath." He checked his watch out of habit. He had time. He always had time for the wrong things. "And yet, I'd like that," he heard himself say. They found seats near a huge window overlooking the runway. Snowflakes brushed against the glass, catching the light of taxiing planes. Maya sat between them, swinging her feet in the air, humming quietly. She rested her head against Charles' arm as though she'd known him for years. Olivia rubbed her forehead. "Sorry, I'm still shaking. Maya's my whole world. And my dad, he's always been our anchor." She paused, swallowing hard. "He raised me alone after my mom passed. I keep thinking, what am I supposed to do when he's gone too?" Silence settled between them. A heavy, human silence. Charles surprised himself by speaking. "My mother died when I was 30. I never said goodbye properly. I was too busy, always too busy." Olivia looked at him with quiet understanding. "Does it get easier?" "No," he said truthfully, "but we get better at loving what's left." Olivia blinked back tears, real, vulnerable tears. And for the first time in years, Charles didn't feel like a machine. The snow outside thickened, blanketing the runway in soft white. Travelers hurried past, but at their corner seats, time felt slower, almost gentle. Maya rested her cheek on her mother's thigh now, sleepy but listening as adults spoke in quiet tones. "You said you travel a lot?" Olivia asked. "Yes," Charles said. "It's the only thing I know how to do well, I suppose." "Does it make you happy?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Happy. The word felt foreign, sharp, almost mocking. Instead, he said, "It keeps me busy." Olivia nodded knowingly. Busy can be its own escape. Escape. He felt that word down to his bones. She continued softly, "I used to run from everything too, even from love. After Maya's father died, I shut down. I didn't want to need anyone." Her fingers traced the zipper of Maya's coat absent-mindedly. "But one day, I realized I wasn't protecting myself. I was just disappearing." Charles stared at her, startled by how much her words mirrored his own years of avoidance. I disappeared too, he said, behind work, behind success, behind excuses. What made you realize it? She asked. He hesitated. He hadn't spoken about it to anyone. My son stopped answering my calls, he admitted. My daughter sends short messages just to be polite. My ex-wife told me during the divorce, you loved your job more than us. And I didn't argue. Olivia shifted, her eyes softening even more. Because you knew she was right. He nodded once. Maya looked up through half-closed eyes. It's okay, Mr. Charles. Grown-ups make mistakes too. Her voice, simple and sleepy, pierced every shield he had left. It's not too late, Olivia said gently. Something in him wanted desperately to believe her. Maya had fallen asleep completely now, her head on Olivia's lap, her mittened hand still holding Harl's thumb loosely as if to anchor him there. He looked at Olivia. How do you do it? He asked quietly. How do you stay strong for her with everything you're facing? Olivia let out a shaky exhale. I'm not strong, I'm just trying. Some days I feel like I'm drowning. But when Maya looks at me like I'm her whole world, I remind myself that I can't fall apart, not in front of her. Charles nodded slowly. He remembered the days when Lily used to look at him that way, like he was a hero. A safe place, how did he let that slip away? I wish I could start over, he whispered. You can, Olivia said, not from the beginning, but from where you are. He rubbed a hand over his face. My kids have their own lives now. I missed the moments that mattered. Then show up for the ones that matter now, she said simply. He stared at her. What if they don't want me to? Then you apologize, you stay, you try again. That's all any of us can do. Her voice trembled at the last part, but she didn't hide it. Charles looked at Maya's small, peaceful face. Children had a way of seeing the truth without judgment, and adults had a way of complicating what was simple. He felt something shift inside him, subtle but undeniable. Not hope, not yet, but courage. The kind that comes quietly, like the first hint of dawn after a long, sleepless night. The airport around them buzzed with movement, rolling luggage, murmured conversations, the low hum of a floor buffer somewhere down the hall, but their little corner remained still. Olivia brushed a strand of Maya's hair away from her forehead. Tell me about them, she said softly. Your kids. Charles stared at his hands. His wedding ring had been gone for months, but the pale band of skin where it used to be still showed faintly. Nathan's 28, he began. He used to build model airplanes with me on weekends. I stopped making time for it when work got heavy. He stopped asking. He swallowed. Lily is 23. She was always gentle. She used to wait for me by the window when I traveled. She'd run to me, even if I came home past midnight. He paused, his voice barely above a whisper. Then one night she didn't. Olivia said nothing. She let the silence breathe. Last Christmas, he continued, they went to their mother's house. They didn't even ask if I was free. Did you call them? Olivia asked gently. Once, maybe twice, but I think I gave up before I even tried. Olivia's eyes softened with empathy, not pity. There was a difference, and he felt it. I never said the words, he admitted. Not really, not the ones that mattered. What words? I'm sorry, I missed you. I was wrong. Olivia nodded slowly. Sometimes we assume people already know how we feel, but they don't, not until we tell them. Charles exhaled shakily. I don't know how to fix everything. You don't have to fix everything, she said. You just have to fix the next moment. The words lingered between them, like a new doorway forming in a long hallway of closed ones. Section 9, the moment that broke him open. The boarding announcement for Olivia's flight echoed overhead, but she didn't move right away. Maya was still asleep, her breath soft and even. We should get going, Olivia said quietly, gently shaking Maya awake. The little girl blinked groggily, then smiled when her eyes landed on Charles. Are you not lost any more, mister? He felt his throat tighten. Hard, too hard. I'm better, he said, the words catching, thanks to you. Maya squeezed his hand. Then you should call your kids. You should tell them your heart is trying to find them. The simplest words, the sharpest truth. Something inside him cracked open, clean, painful, necessary. He blinked fast, but the tears still formed. Olivia saw it, and unlike everyone else in his life, she didn't look away. She didn't pretend not to notice. You care, she said softly. Yes, he whispered. I think I never stopped. Olivia stood, helping Maya put her backpack on. Then show them, before more time slips away. Maya wrapped her arms around Charles, legs in a fierce hug. I hope you find your way home, Mr. Charles. He placed a trembling hand on her small back. I hope you find your grandpa feeling better, he murmured. She nodded solemnly. Mommy says love can make people stronger. Olivia's eyes glistened. She offered her hand. Thank you, she said, for being there for her, for listening, for sharing. For reminding me I still can, he replied. As they stepped away, Maya turned and waved one last time. He waved back, feeling a hollowness he hadn't felt in years, not emptiness this time, but space. Charles stood alone again. The airport felt colder without Maya's small hand in his. He pulled out his phone and scrolled to Lily's number. His thumb hovered. His breathing felt tight and uneven, like he was standing on a cliff. Cowardice had never stopped him in business, but when it came to family, it had ruled him for years. The phone felt heavy in his palm. He pressed call. It rang once, twice, 3 times. He almost hung up. Then, Dad! Her voice. He hadn't heard it in almost a year. It sounded cautious, young, a little guarded. Lily, he breathed, silence stretched. He could picture her frowning slightly the way she used to when confused. Is everything okay? She asked. Yes, no, I mean I don't know. He exhaled shakily. I met a little girl tonight. He expected her to laugh or question him, but she didn't speak. She waited. She asked me if I was lost, he said, and I realized I am. I've been lost for a long time. And I'm sorry, Lily. She didn't interrupt. I wasn't there when you needed me, he continued. I wasn't there when your mother needed me. I thought providing was enough. I thought success would fix everything, but I missed so much, too much. His voice cracked. I love you, he whispered. I never said it enough, but I do, and I'm sorry for every moment you felt second to my job. The line remained silent, so quiet he could hear his own heartbeat. Then, softly, I miss you, Dad. The sound of Lily's voice hit him with equal parts relief and heartbreak. I miss you too, he breathed, more than you know. There was a long pause on the other end, but this time it wasn't cold. It was thinking, processing, feeling. Dad, she finally said, you hurt us, me and Nathan both. I know, he whispered, and I can't take that back. You were always working, always gone. Even when you were home, you weren't really there. He swallowed. You're right. He heard her inhale, shaky. I kept waiting for you to notice, to try, and then I stopped waiting. His chest tightened. I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Why now? She asked, voice trembling. Why tonight? He closed his eyes. Because a little girl trusted me, and her mother reminded me what I threw away. And for the first time in years, someone saw me as human, not a CEO, not a machine, just me. Silence again. Softer this time. Are you trying to change? She asked quietly. Yes, he said without hesitation. I may be late, but I'm here now, and I want to be part of your life again, even if it takes time. Lily let out a breath that sounded like she'd been holding it for years. I want that too, she admitted. Hope flickered in his chest, small but bright. Maybe we can have dinner when you're back from Seattle, she offered tentatively. He closed his eyes against tears. I'd like that, more than you know. When she finally hung up, he stayed still, the phone warm in his hand. For the first time in a very long time, he didn't feel lost. Charles sat back down, staring out at the runway where snow now drifted steadily under the floodlights. A plane rumbled past, glowing through the white haze. He felt lighter, unsteady, yes, but lighter, like someone had handed him a map in a place he'd been wandering aimlessly. His phone buzzed, a message from Lily. Dad, I'm proud of you for calling. I know it wasn't easy. Another buzz, I love you too. He covered his face with his hands. Relief, raw, powerful, flooded him. When he finally looked up, his flight status had changed again, delayed another hour. Strangely, he didn't mind. He checked the time. Olivia's flight would be in the air by now. He imagined her holding Maya, whispering soft reassurances. He pictured Maya telling her grandfather stories about the lost mister she helped at the airport. Another buzz, this time a message from an unknown number. He frowned and opened it. Hi, Charles. This is Olivia. I hope you don't mind. I asked the lady at the desk to pass your number along. I just wanted to thank you again. Tonight was heavy, but you made it less lonely. I hope your heart finds what it's been looking for too. He stared at the screen, stunned. Then another message appeared. Maya says goodnight. She's worried about you being lost. He smiled, an unpolished, real smile, the kind that softened his entire face. Tell her I'm finding my way, he typed back, and he realized he meant it. When the boarding finally began for his flight, Charles rose with the other passengers. But something felt different, like he wasn't the same man who had sat here hours ago. He walked down the jet bridge and stepped into the plane. The familiar scent of recycled air, quiet boarding music, and cold overhead lights filled the cabin. Routine, ordinary, predictable. He found his seat, an aisle seat in first class, and placed his coat in the overhead bin. But as he sat down, a strange uneasiness washed over him. He took out his phone again and looked at Lily's messages. Then he looked out the small oval window, watching snow melt into streaks on the glass. Something in him whispered, "Go home." It wasn't a command. It wasn't guilt. It was clarity. Pure, simple clarity. A clarity he had denied for years. He pressed the call button. A flight attendant approached with a polite smile. "Yes, sir." Charles cleared his throat. "I need to deboard the plane." She blinked. "Is everything okay?" "I think I just need to go home." She nodded with surprising gentleness and guided him toward the exit. Minutes later, he was back in the terminal, breathless, heart-pounding, not from fear, but from something startlingly new. Choice. He wasn't lost now, not really. He was choosing a different path. He messaged Lily, "Change of plans. I'm heading home tonight. Want to meet for late dinner?" Her reply came quickly. "Yes, I'd love that, Dad." And for the first time in years, Charles felt himself moving toward something that mattered. The drive home was quiet. Snowflakes flickered in the headlights like falling stars. The city felt different tonight, not cold and unreachable, but familiar in a way he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. He arrived at the small cafe Lily suggested, a place he used to take her on Saturday mornings when she was little, back when she ordered chocolate chip pancakes and insisted he draw butterflies on napkins. He pushed open the door. Warm light spilled out. Soft music hummed in the background, and there she was. Lily sat at a corner booth, hands wrapped around a mug of hot chocolate, her hair pulled into the loose bun she always wore when nervous. When she saw him, she stood slowly. "Hi, Dad," she said. He breathed out, shaky. "Hi, sweetheart." For a moment, neither moved. Then Lily stepped forward and hugged him, tentative at first, then tighter. His eyes burned. He held her as though afraid she might slip away if he let go. When they sat, she studied his face carefully. "You look different, feel different," he admitted. She nodded. "I'm glad you called. I've wanted to hear your voice for a long time." He swallowed. "I'm sorry it took so long." They talked, really talked, about her art classes, her job at the animal shelter, her fears, her hopes. About his mistakes, his regrets, his loneliness. At one point she laughed, soft, surprised, and the sound felt like sunlight cracking open the winter night. By the end of dinner, something had shifted between them. Not a full repair, not a magic fix, but a beginning. When she reached across the table and squeezed his hand, he knew. Love wasn't gone. It was just waiting. Later that night, after walking Lily to her car and promising they would meet again soon, Charles didn't go straight home. Instead, he stopped by a quiet park just a few blocks away. Fresh snow coated the ground. A bench sat beneath a street lamp, glowing faintly in the cold air. He sat down, exhaling a long breath that curled into the night sky. He pulled out his phone one last time. A message from Olivia had arrived. "We landed safely." My dad smiled when he saw Maya. "She told him about you. She said you weren't lost anymore." Charles felt a tightness in his throat. He typed back, "Tell her I found something important tonight. I found my way back to my daughter." A few seconds later, "I'm really glad, Charles." He put the phone away and leaned back, letting the quiet settle. For so long, he thought being important meant being powerful, but now he understood being important meant being present, being human, being willing, being there. He looked up at the sky. Snowflakes drifted down slowly, landing on his coat sleeve. He watched them melt, small, temporary, beautiful. A soft smile curved his lips. Tomorrow he would call Nathan. Tomorrow he would start again. Tonight he was simply grateful. Grateful for a scared little girl with bunny ears on her hat. Grateful for a mother who spoke truth with trembling strength. Grateful for a daughter who opened her heart again. Grateful for the moment everything changed. He wasn't lost anymore. He was going home. Some people enter our lives for just a moment, but change everything forever. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of someone you miss, don't leave without telling them. Subscribe, like, and press the bell icon to hear more stories that remind